Welcome to the Living Unconventionally podcast, episode 194. My name is Pyak, and usually on this show, we meet people who ditch their 9-to-5 jobs to travel the world and to experience an unconventional lifestyle all over the globe. But to live unconventionally, to live creatively, to live full of creativity, my God, you don't really need to travel very, very far. It's enough if your inspiration, if your creativity itself doesn't know any limit. And today we talk to one person who really proves my point, because he's traveling at the speed of sound right into your heart. Welcome, Aleksandr Zilkov, Sasha. Hey.
Hello. Sasha sounds good.
Yeah, I say very German, Sasha. Sasha, you have a really, really unusual life story. You are born in Moscow, raised in Moscow, and when your parents dreamed about your future, what you would do for a living, what did they see in you? What did they wanted you to be?
Wow, that's quite a question. Well, my dad actually dreamed of me becoming a musician, but he wasn't such a big part of a family, so it was certainly not a plan for me. And my mother lived in a situation where she didn't really care what will I be doing, as long as I have something to eat. And so at that point, Russia wasn't in the times when people dreamed of, oh, I wish I would be doing something. They were like thinking, give me money for something.
Yeah.
Times when people were educated in one way were like selling stuff on the market and all this stuff.
Yeah. So you're talking about the 90s now, and the time of change in Russia after the Soviet Union crashed.
Yeah.
Soul searching wasn't really in vogue then. It was more like, where do I find
I don't remember anybody like talking about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a big deal at that point.
Okay, so you when you grew up, you decided to go to university the first time.
Well, I did, because you had to go to one. At the time, I was starting to play the guitar, but it was just the beginning, because I started late. So I just went to linguistics, because I was sort of not bad in English. But it didn't go so well, because all I wanted. So at that point, I was in the mood of I want to be doing what I want to be doing, and that was music.
Was it very?
There's
a surprise guest joining us. Evgenia, hello.
Sorry. I thought it was a link to watch the video and not to participate in it.
Well, now you are here, so welcome, Evgenia. Where do you join us from?
I join you from the car, actually, because I was not able to make it in time home. So yeah. Sorry again.
No problem. When you're here with Sasha, you have the chance to talk to him. What's one thing you would like to tell him?
Well, that I love him and that I miss him. You, actually. And I'm very looking forward to listening to your interview. So I will just put myself on mute.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Evgenia. Yeah, that's one thing that you and I have in common is certainly Evgenia.
Yeah, we should.
Yes, we do. Evgenia is Sasha's cousin and my wife, incidentally. Now I lost the track of what we were talking about. I remember you realized that you played guitar. You wanted to do something different, but you are still studying linguistic. Do you remember this day when you decided, okay, that's it. Now I quit?
To be honest, there were many points in my life where it looked like I made a decision. I will be ditching the regular way and going my way. But But in truth, I was just wanting to do what I want, not knowing what to do with my life, and stopped doing the things I was supposed to be doing. So at that point, I just stopped going to the university, and all nights long I was writing music, listening to music, like training, upgrading my guitar playing. And what happens is you get thrown off of the university.
Surprisingly, that happens sometimes. Would you say now that your desires, they actually drew you into this direction, that you kind of didn't have a choice?
In a manner. So it would happen one way or another, sooner or later, and it would happen anyway. But what I'm learned to be doing now in my life is knowing what is going to happen and doing it the right way. Like in that example, I would go to the university and say that I'm leaving, not just waiting for them to throw me out, or going to my clients, which I don't want to work with anymore, and telling them I don't want to. Because usually in the previous times, I would just disappear and start doing something I love. So it was something I should be doing, but I wasn't right in the way I was doing that. But that happened
more
many
control
times.
of your life now.
Yeah, so my life sort of drags me in a way I cannot resist. So I just have to learn to work through that.
Go with the flow, as they say.
Yeah.
But we will come to what you're doing now in a moment, because actually your life turned out quite well. I can tell that much. But it didn't happen overnight. You get thrown off the university the first time, and then you went to a second university.
Yeah, so I chose for the next year, I chose the university that is easy to be in, just for my mother. I'm studying because she didn't believe, it's not that she didn't believe in me as a musician, but she didn't believe that this is kind of the job that could feed me and is stable, and she wanted me to have not a way of life they had in the 90s.
Yeah, I understand.
So she was perfectly okay with me playing the guitar as long as I'm moving towards having a real job.
And was she right that you couldn't make a living from music, at least in the beginning?
Well, I think I got lucky. But I know many musicians in Moscow. And it's not so easy to be a musician, in a way of... there are a lot of us, especially in Moscow, because every good musician travels to Moscow or St. Petersburg, because no other city really can offer you anything. So it's not easy. So there is no place where you can go to the rehearsal, do something nice, and now you have a job, and now you're having a salary each month. All the time you're searching, scrolling, and finding some place you can do something.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you started, how you made the switch from musician as a hobby to musician as your life? And by the way, if you're listening, we record this live. There's quite a number of people in the live stream. If you want to ask Sasha a question, please feel free to put it into the chat, and I will read it to Sasha then. So yeah, how did it start, this move that you started to be able to do this as a living, as a profession?
Well, it started not the way I would want it to start, because as a young musician, I had some dreams and expectations about me becoming like a rock star. I loved one particular genre of music, art rock, which is long dead, to be honest. And I thought that I had a band, we would write songs and go performing, and everybody likes us, and there comes the musician's dream. But it doesn't work out very often that way, even when you're playing the very contemporary genres, especially when you're playing 70s art rock. So I was moving up, we're learning new stuff, and at one point I realized that it doesn't go anywhere. I wasn't.
Can you give us an example? What was it that dragged you down so much? How is it? How do I have to imagine being a young musician in Moscow, playing a type of music that I wasn't even born when it was popular?
So you start the first, you find out that it's hard to have a band, run a band with amateurs like you are. And we were growing up, and our lives got more and more complicated. So at some point, somebody cannot participate anymore, and you no longer have a band like that. And you try playing your music to people, and you see that they are not really excited about it. And that is partly because maybe you think to yourself, their music taste sucks, but you are not playing well enough. Maybe you're not performing well enough. Many things. You should be like pushing you in the social media or something. I guess there wasn't much of a social media at the time. So
telephone.
At some point we're sitting, and I understand that I don't even know what to do next. How can I get one step closer to that dream of becoming an art rock star? Because everywhere it's like, no way. So at that point, I had an opportunity, thanks to Evgenia, to get into the professional band, playing covers at the weddings. So to me, at the point, it sounded like a major shift down. Like
for those of us who are not in the music industry, how did this go down? What happened there exactly?
How did I get there?
Yeah, how does it work? Do you get invited to play for them, and then they talk to you, or how does this happen?
So Evgenia was at the band at the time, and they had some problems with their guitar players. One left, another came. They didn't like him either. So she said, my brother can play guitar. And so I was sort of, so that's more interesting. 1 year before that, Evgenia told them about me, and I came to the rehearsal. And at that point, I was like at the peak of becoming an art rock star. So I played something for them. They said, it's not really good, but we can work it out. Do you want to be with us? You have to do this and that. Take this guitar solo and play it better than you did. And I just left because I'm not gonna play music at the weddings. I have a dream. Like I want to become a musician of my own style, sort of that. And later, 1 year, I was broken down, not knowing what to do, and I came back to that band. And this is a time when I decided that this is a place I will not be playing kind of music I like, but I will be playing with professional musicians. I will be growing as a musician. And they paid not much, but to me at the point I was like 19. I couldn't think of a place where somebody could pay me for playing music. Because I was not much into playing music in restaurants, because that's another one, infernal hole.
Yeah. What do you think? What is when you look back at this time? What was the biggest benefit that you got out of playing in this band, playing at weddings?
You mean when I got there?
No, when you look back now from where you are today, and if you look back at this time, what was the most useful thing that you learned, or that it helped to improve in you, that you were playing in this band?
Oh, I learned a lot, like a lot. I don't know about Europe, but in Russia, many men say that you have to go to the army and spend 2 years there, and you learn a lot of things about life, about partnership, about your character. You see yourself in extreme situations, so you go out of there like a real man. You was a boy, now you're a man. I didn't go to the army, but 2 years spent in that band, I feel like I was in the army, because I worked really hard. Many things crushed on me, like me loving only one genre of music and despising others. could not work out there. I had to play popular music I hated, in many genres from many eras, learning different styles. And first I hated it, and then 2 years after, I find myself loving most of it. And no, now I'm a guitar player who can work, who can understand when to play what. So, from one point of view, I did lose some of my individuality at the point, but I was worried that no, I will never be a creative musician again after that. But that's not the point. When all of that stuffed down, and I went through some age times, when crazy things go in your brain, I found myself still a creative person that has many tools now and a lot of knowledge about how music was made in different countries, in different eras. So I don't think I really suffered in my creativity as much as I was afraid I will.
Yeah, I would assume that the opposite is true, that because you understand now why certain types of music are made in a certain way, you have much more, as you said, much more tools that you can use to express yourself.
Surely I do. And I played with people who are much more professional than my friends in my band. So when you get into the room with good professionals, something happens. You just get better. Well, you have to be doing something, but you cannot compare it to sitting on your sofa and watching, training, playing some stuff for yourself with nobody to kick your butt if you are doing bad. Because this is a job. When I sing out of key, my boss comes to me and is asking me, why did I do that? So you have to be growing, and this is the very good side of getting somewhere where you are the weakest musician, because you're growing up, and being the best one in the amateur band doesn't really lead you anywhere.
Yeah, I understand. How much time did you practice in this band? In a usual week, how much would you practice?
You mean how was the routine?
Yeah, when you had a gig, I don't know, every weekend or something like that, but you also practice for the gigs. How much time did you spend practicing?
Well, we spent all of our time practicing, because we worked 29 days a month, I guess. It was either concerts or in the studio. I cannot say that we always worked hard in the studio, because it was a lot of communication, boys and girls, and at the point I started singing too. So so a lot of ways I could spend my time. I learned to record music. That's another thing I learned from them, because they were recording. They are not big pros, but they were much better than I was. And I was forced to record other people when they sing. So a lot of activity, music related, and communicating with other musicians is the very important thing. Because from now on, I look back on my first band, and I see that we didn't have much of a chance as a band. But me not being a good leader left us absolutely no chance. I didn't know how to work out the rehearsal, how to communicate my ideas to others. So this is something you learn in the work environment, where people cannot just say "I hate you" and go away. They are forced to work and work it out.
Yeah,
something like that.
So it really teaches you a lot about life as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Many people start in the same situation like you, and at some point they simply have to give up and get a regular job because it doesn't lead anywhere. But for you, it actually turned out really really different, and you were able to build a very good career as a musician. I often find it interesting that people seem to think that it's really unfair that just because you spent 10,000 hours practicing music, you get to be successful, and they, because they didn't, don't. I'm just joking here, of course. Tell us, how did it happen that you started to write? You're not writing music for famous Russian musicians, but you are arranging their music for them. Is that correct? How did this happen?
So currently I am turning from arranging music to YouTube show, but that's another story. But at some point,
we get to
that. Talking, I can tell how it happened, but not much of something people can use out of that. But I was writing music for myself and for my sister. Like arranging, I didn't even know the word arranging at the time. It's just like recording some parts, trying to make them sound good together. And that is arranging, as I learned later. And I went to my musician friend I worked with at the time, and I had my USB drive and the songs I recorded on it. Mostly my songs and the one song I arranged for my sister. And he listened to them. He was very good musician with a good career already. And he knew the pop stuff very well. And he scrolled through my songs saying like, oh man, this is like from 70s or what. And he stumbled on the song I arranged for my sister. I guess arranging for my sister, I wasn't much into my own style, so he liked what I did. He said that it sounds awful, but he can see that the ideas are pretty fresh. And he said, do you want to work for me? Like, I'm arranging music for pop stars. You can be my, how do they say, apprentice or something. Or ghost writer, they also say. So I tried, I failed. I tried again and failed again. And then I tried third time and it worked out. So in several months, I found myself an arranger of pop stars, like not a ghostwriter anymore, with producers knowing my name and that stuff.
Can you give us a few examples for the people from our Russian listeners, people that they might know that you are?
So I worked for a producer. His name is Anatoly Lopatin. He was producing and still is producing like all-time stars like Alla Pugacheva, Philip Kirkorov, Lolita, Valeria. So many. So his studio is one of the biggest at the time. So he was a very good producer, and I learned a lot from working with him. A lot about music and about life and about pop music, which I learned that I don't want to be doing that at some point.
And that's also important to realize what you don't want to do. But you know, I'm sitting here, I'm wondering all the time. This must have been incredible hard. You know, you are young. You don't know that you will be successful, right? Or did you feel all the time that, yeah, sure, eventually I will be successful?
Oh, you know, I didn't really think about it a lot. So I often think about what's the secret to like my success. I don't think of it as much of a success, but when somebody with less success asks me, I think of what can I what kind of advice can I give? So mostly when people talk about it, you have to believe in yourself, you have to have set a goal and follow it. These are the things I never really did. But I was never doing nothing. That's the first thing. I was many times, like I don't know how many times I was aggravated, like paralyzed, not feeling like I'm a better musician, I'm a bad person, I'm not brave enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not tall enough, whatever you say, I'm not muscular enough. But I never stopped doing what I do. You have to go through these low times, just not giving up.
Larissa writes us a question here. We get a few questions. I want to get them in. Larissa asked, did you feel that you had talent when you left university?
Talent. At that time, I thought of myself as a very talented person. I felt like I have something very special only I can give to this world, and all that young stuff, which sounds funny for me now.
Yeah. Would your older you agree with the evaluation of the younger you? Meaning, when you look back at the time, do you feel that you had that much talent, or?
You know, the older I get, the more cloudy it gets for me what talent it really is. Because I don't know what that is. I sense something in myself and in people I meet, and usually I sense it immediately. But when people say talent, I don't really know what they mean. Because mostly they think of this as something, you know, when believers who can I speak about this stuff? Because I'm a believer myself, but many times we as believers use word God or supernatural just to fit in the hole where we don't know.
Yeah.
And this is something people, some way people use word talent, because they don't know how to explain this, and all of that is talent. And sometimes it's hard work. Sometimes person is not talented in singing, but he talented to work hard and every day, and to be concentrated on what he is doing. Is that a talent? I don't know, because I know many people who have a talent to music, they just somehow they know what to do, but they never really work hard, and they reach some kind of a roof of what they can do. Do they? Can you say that they have a talent? I don't know what is talent. So I don't know how to answer that question now.
That's actually what I thought when you talked before, how you played music in university and later on, that some people say, success is like 80% hard work and 20% talent. But it always sounds like they had to force themselves to work, force themselves to train so hard and so on. With you, I have the feeling you had no choice but to play music, to work on your music, to go, that there was something inside of you that was just pushing you, that you could not do this.
If I had pressure around me against me being a musician, that would test this thing. But in my situation, I wasn't really thinking like, I have a talent, I have to work. They say you have to work hard. So I was just sitting in my home, and what I want to do, I want to take my guitar and I want to play it. And I don't just want to play something I know. I want to learn something new, or I want to write something new. I want to take something I wrote before and make it better. Not because I have to work on my talent to make this world better. It's just something I wanted to be doing. And it turned out to many, many, many hours of practice, but I was really being lazy at the time. So what I want to do, I want to play guitar and get better. I want to find some new chords and new progressions and all that stuff. So it's hard to me to call myself a workaholic or something, because I just always wanted to do something I'm delightful at. Something like that. I certainly don't know why that doesn't work for some people. I don't know, because some people work hard, but they sort of lose the grip of the joy.
Yeah, I understand.
And they find themselves losing motivation, and then you cannot work hard anymore.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you don't find the joy in the moment in itself, and you have to force yourself all the time. I mean, of course, there are moments when you have to force yourself, but if you don't find the joy in it anymore, then it's not leading you. There's a few people who want to say hi to you, want to make sure they are getting heard. Here's Kra Zenbi 112 says, hello, Sanja from Lipetsk.
Oh,
And then 31337 Gaia writes, all power to the one and only Zilkov.
This must be my YouTube subscribers. They love me.
Yes, they really, really do. I was watching, I must admit, I watch your videos because Yevgenia watches you religiously, obviously. My son Tim, who is 2 years old, watches you religiously. He always starts saying, "Oh, Sasha," when you're on air. And by the way, he's starting to do music himself now very well with 2 years already.
Yeah.
His favorite song is Shrum, 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 Nesnayu, Nesnayu.
What is it?
Meaning, I don't know. I don't know. He sings this for 20 minutes and I just love it. And so do many, many people love your YouTube channel. How did this start in the beginning?
That is a mystery for me, to be honest, because I was pretty much okay with my life, at the point. I was arranging and mixing and music not for such big stars at the beginning, because at some point I had found myself not loving being in the show business as deep as I was. So, but still I earned some money, and like I could work one day and I could not work another day, like freelancing and all that stuff. So I wasn't really searching for something new. But at some point, maybe I got bored, maybe I just had a lot of free time, and I wasn't really much into YouTube at the point. And I found some really nice video of some American musical blogger, and I thought, wow, I wish I had that when I was younger. And I saw many, many channels with really, really top content, unimaginably top. So I thought, I wonder if there are channels like this in Russian. I could send links to my friends who are starting to learn music. And I found absolutely nothing, because I found something, but it wasn't really good enough. It's not even close. So I felt like maybe I can record a video for my friend who asked me, what is this chord? How do you use it? So I just put my camera down and explain it to the camera. And in the process, I found that I love it. So one thing that attracts me is when I find some activity that I can get lost in. Mostly because it was not for clients. It's always easier and more. You can feel more creative when you are your own boss. But I recorded one video, another video. I was uploading them. There were some people watching, not much of them. I wasn't really thinking about becoming a big blogger or something like that. But at some point I entered this state, just like when I was in the university. I stopped working. You have a question, I guess.
Yeah. I wanted to ask just for our audience, what are your videos about? What you do in your videos?
Well, my videos are about how to be a musician. Sometimes it's talking about your mindset. Sometimes it's like, where do you put your fingers down? Sometimes what do you listen to, and where do you take something inspiring? So all of that stuff. Sometimes it's just video vlogs, you call it, of how I work, something like that.
Sometimes getting into a contest with Christina Aguilera about who has more vocal shots.
Sometimes it's something like that, right? So at that point, I sort of got lost in this video producing, and I stopped working in the studio almost. And I just wanted to make these videos, and I just wanted to make them really good. I was editing them all day long, because it was totally creative for me. Because I didn't know how do you make people watch it, anything about SEO or like promoting and all that stuff. I just loved making these videos, editing, making it even better, and now I can improve this something, and then watching that video and thinking, this is the best thing I had ever done. And now you get to see make another video, and you want to reach this state where you're thinking, man, this is the best thing I had done in my life. And the next day you wake up and think, I want to make something best in my life again. This is something I think helped me when I started arranging music, because I was very unexperienced. But I spent as many hours as I could to make it even better. And the producer that was taking job from me, he could sense it. He enters the musical project, he sees all the files, all the takes. This person can see, because he did it himself previously, he can see that I spent a ton of hours working. And of course he liked that. He knew that I am making many mistakes, but he saw that this is the kind of person you want to be working at, and not somebody who just makes a regular drum beat, takes money, and leaves to the vacation.
Yeah.
So this helped me many times.
Yeah, this is something I experienced in my own life, and I think it's generally true that first of all, you need to have a lot of energy yourself, that you really push yourself out there and push yourself to become better. But then to really change your life, you always need someone who believes in you. None of us can make it all alone. There's always someone who believes in you and who sees maybe a little bit themselves in you as well, and that's why they help you. And I don't know if you made similar experiences. My experience is that people who had who came up the hard way, who had to build their life for themselves, they are more willing to help other people as well, because they know how hard it is.
I think so too.
Yeah. We have to come to an end, but I don't want to leave you without telling not the end really, because you are still young, you have a lot of career in front of you. Well, okay, talented musicians usually don't get very old, so be very careful. Don't go into any planes or so. But you wanted to make the best YouTube video that you could, and obviously a lot of people agreed with you. Did you already get post from YouTube?
Did I already get what?
Did you already get mail from YouTube?
No, they still didn't write me.
Yeah,
but they say they are very slow with Russian bloggers, because we are somewhere far away.
Yeah, but they will write you, because your YouTube channel has now over 100,000 subscribers.
I don't know how that happened. I really do not know.
Yeah, I was wondering what went through your head when you saw this number on your screen, when this moment came.
At the moment, I was sitting in the psychotherapy group. So I was thinking about very different and maybe more internal and important things. But you know, I'm humbled by all that stuff, because I thought that I had life where I am doing what I love, and now I have life where I'm doing something I love even more.
Mm-hmm. So what's the next thing for you? What would you like at the end of this year? What would be one thing that would make you really happy if you could do this, or if you experienced this?
I'm not much of a plan maker, as I told you before, but I wish by the winter I can have the. I'm playing in the band with one Russian pop star at the moment. So right now the YouTube channel doesn't. Her name is Irina Dubtsova. It doesn't matter much. So right now, half of my income is YouTube channel and Patreons, which I'm very grateful. Part of my income is still some studio job, and part of my income is playing bass guitar in this singer's band. And none of these three I can ditch at the moment. But it's pretty hard to work in three directions. And I wish by the winter I can leave one of these three. That will probably be playing bass guitar in someone else's band. So I hope I can reach this and still keep doing what I do, because I want to get better. Today I want to make the best video in my life. Yeah.
Aleksandr Zilkov, Sasha, thank you very much for joining us in the Living Unconventional podcast. If you like this episode of Living Unconventionally, please subscribe, and subscribe also to Sasha's YouTube channel, which we can find where?
It's called по-русски Нескучный Саунд. So this is not something you want to watch if you don't know Russian, but some people do watch not knowing Russian.
Yeah, I actually disagree with Sasha there. I watch it without knowing Russian, and it's just check it out. It's so inspirational. It's so enjoyable because Sasha is really an unbelievable funny guy. You can learn a lot about music just by watching him. And you can learn a lot about performing just by watching him, because he keeps your interest high every single second, and you have something to smile about or something to be inspired by. I'll link to your YouTube channel in the show notes, which you can find at Living Unconventionally /194, Living Unconventionally /194. That's the episode. My name is Chris Pyak. I hope you are with me again next Monday with a new Unconventionalist. See you then. Bye-bye.